Hey, so this is Jeffrey Gurian for Comedy Matters TV here at the Regency Hotel with Abel Ferrara, Willem Dafoe, and Shanyn Leigh for the movie 444 about the end of the world, the apocalypse. Stick around and see what happens.
Yeah.
I'm one of your oldest friends. I'm writing for Comedy Matters TV. It's an internet.
I know all that. I'm an internet fanatic. So I was born in the Bronx, and I grew up in upstate New York.
What part of the Bronx? I'm from the Bronx.
Where? Morris Park.
Near the Concourse, Tremont Avenue, around that area.
Oh, really? Well, we're from the same neighborhood.
Yeah, Grand Concourse area. There was a whole
Did you go to Yankee Stadium a lot as a
Absolutely, yeah. And I used to play tennis down there too, on 161st Street. I had for the Bronx, that was like going to Europe to play tennis. Nobody played tennis in those days.
He's the first person I ever heard play tennis.
Yeah, in the Bronx. Hardly anybody ever did that. But there were public courts right near Yankee Stadium on 161st Street. And we used to go down there.
Wow.
And it was like I said, it was like going to boarding school in Europe to play tennis when you grew up in the Bronx. It was like, it was a big deal to go to Fordham Road, Poe Park.
That's a beautiful street. I mean, the Grand Concourse is the most incredible block.
It was.
It is grand.
It's still grand, but unfortunately, it's not like it was in those days.
Well,
Can I start out by asking you, what was the significance of the time, 444? Was there a significance to the fact that you chose that number for the end of the world?
Well, on one hand, Shannon is a numerologist, so, and then 444 has a very heavy Chinese meaning, right? And it resonates. Where are you from? What's your background? Japan, okay. But in China, in Japan, is 444 has a special meaning? No.
4 means death.
Yeah, okay. 4 means death, so I don't know. They might have to change that title in China, but I don't know if anybody...
Well, it's very fitting.
Absolutely. But at the same time, the film is in New York. 444 is only on the East Coast. The world's going to end at 144 in Los Angeles.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah.
And the world's going to end at 10:44 in the morning in Rome. Right? So, I don't know. In New York, the bars close at 4. It's almost 4:44 is the time, like, if it's not happening by 4:44, go home. At one time is the it's like, night over.
It was also a multiple of 11, and 11 is a power number, and I was just wondering if that had any significance. But Shannon is the numerologist, right?
Right, not me. So
I should have asked her.
Right, she'll give you the whole bit. But what time? It's the hour of the wolf almost. When is what time does the night end? Is really the question.
No, I was gonna say I like the fact that you ended it with everything going into a white light. Now, it could have been a violent kind of ending, but it was a very peaceful ending. And I'm assuming that was a creative choice on your part.
Well, the point is, if the ozone is going to go, if the film is about the ozone gone, you would think that you're getting radiated, right?
Sure.
It would be like a kind of atomic deal.
Whiteout.
It's a whiteout. That's how it would be. I would think, right?
I would think, but like you showed a window breaking and then some swirling colors outside,
right?
And then, but just
like a disturbance of wind. He's outside in the wind. There's a disturbance in the atmosphere, but they're dying from if the ozone is protecting us from the rays of the sun. When the ozone is gone, then that's it.
It would just be like a white light. I just thought it was a good creative choice, and I was wondering if you struggled with that at all.
I don't know about struggling, but we came up with it, and it's like it's towards the thing. These kind of films are they're not scientific documentaries. I mean, we had our guys from, I had my guy from Stanford talk, and he'd say, listen, go with the Twilight Zone as much as
right.
Right.
We're fiction. We're dealing with fiction.
Yeah, we're dealing with fiction.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure it came from the Earth. What would happen if we had the ozone protecting us from the sun? Mm-hmm. Be like you're in the fucking microwave.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
How painful that's going to be, I don't know. The film isn't about that.
There was a very strong theme about sobriety in that film.
Well, I'm drinking water, so it really was about that. Obviously he's in the program, Willem,
Mhm.
and it's about he's counting days. They were sitting there and met the guy. They were talking about is how many days he was sober,
Mm.
and came that moment. I mean, he went to the drug dealers obviously to score,
Mm.
and then he bumps into another cat who with 20 years sobriety.
Mm.
So the point was he going to get high? Was he not going to get high?
There was a time when you wanted to do comedies, I believe.
Yeah, we did
when you were
Go-Go
doing
Tales was a
Subway Stories. Wasn't that way
Right.
back when you were doing Subway
Now,
Stories?
Go-Go Tales was the only real intentional comedy we did. Intentional.
How are you?
Good.
Good.
Oh, don't I know you?
Yes.
Yeah, a lot. Yeah,
I'm a friend of Abel's.
of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, you look familiar.
It's good to see you.
Nice to see you.
So, how did this part come about for you? Because it was a great part, by the way. I mean,
thank
you were
you.
fantastic
Thank
in the
you.
role.
How did the part come about? Well, I'm Abel's girlfriend, so we've been together for 7 years. So yeah, he started working on this about, I guess, 5 years ago when Al Gore approached him Al Gore's camp approached him to do a short movie that they were going to do before a music concert series, kind of like a Lollapalooza, but I can't remember the name, to promote global warming and environmental awareness. And so Abel wrote this short that never happened, but it was just a short, and I thought it was such a great idea, and we developed it into a feature film, obviously, but it took a while for it to happen.
Yeah, because I noticed that one of the dates on the TV was 2009, like when they were showing something on TV, and there was a date appeared. I just happened to notice it. So was that when you shot it, actually?
No, we shot it last spring, but no, actually, I think the idea behind that was because it's the end of the world. You're looking at footage from 2009, 1950. Just all the footage that you have access to, just like you would, as sort of an homage to the earth, as everything that was done. You're just looking at it.
That's interesting. Was that your apartment, by the way?
No, that's Spencer Sweeney's apartment. He actually painted the Ouroboros. And he's a painter in New York, great painter, and that was his apartment. We found it, and it was just sort of good luck that, he's a painter and it was available, or, he let us take it over for a while.
And you were doing so much painting throughout the thing. Are you an artist as well, or was that just for the role?
No, that was just for the role. Although now I love painting. It's it's fun. I understand. I mean, I have a lot of painter friends, and it's so therapeutic. I understand the whole mesmerizing, and I understand why she was so into painting and why, she wouldn't let it go. People said to me, like, you have to decide what you're painting. And I was studying Frida Kahlo a lot, and I was like, what am I going to paint? Like, this is really, it could be, it could be a flower, but and I was in a yoga class, and they were talking about the Ouroboros, about the symbol of a snake eating its own tail, and just a symbol of life and death. And it's this beautiful image. So I knew that we wanted to paint an Ouroboros, that was definitely the symbol that was the movie, and for her and for what she would be painting, this beautiful Ouroboros. So we knew that we wanted to get to that, but how we got to that was just very rock and roll. It was like, just starting, splattering, painting, and then somehow we got to that. But it was rock and roll. It was
like a Jackson Pollock almost.
Yeah,
like you're
exactly.
throwing paint.
Yeah, it was so great.
It looked like a lot of fun.
That was probably the best part. Yeah.
How did the movie affect you? Like, I know all films, you kind of take on, well, it's so real to the audience, and it must be real to the actors as well. Filming something about the end of the world, did that stay with you after a while, after you did it?
Yeah, it did. It was, it's something that, it stayed with me a lot in the pre-production before, just really studying about death and how you die and what happens when you die. And there's so many books on exactly what happens when you die. So that was very heavy. But as far as after, it was a little hard just because you really appreciate every moment. And if you think it's not, the world is going to end, but I'm going to die tonight. I'm never going to see my family, my friends, my pets, my favorite art, my favorite movies. It's all, it's not just you're going to die, but the world is going to end. Like, Da Vinci's paintings and sculptures and Egypt's pyramids, they're gone too, which is because of us. So
Mm.
yeah, it was. I sort of like intense things anyway, so it was fun for me to stay in this moment of making everything sort of. This is the last moment.
Mm. In general, people seem pretty calm. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, one guy jumped off his terrace, but it just in general, the portrayal was that people had kind of accepted what was going to happen. There didn't seem to be like mass, like people weren't racing through the streets. People were just going about their business.
Well, I think because we had time to. I don't know how well it's. You know, this is not the moment. We did not just get that report that the world is going to end. We had time to sort of
To process it.
it and to reconcile it. You know, where we would, if we were going to go be with our family or to be in the forest, we would have already left. You know, this was like the last less than 24
I'm sure
hours.
traveling would have been difficult anyway at that time to try to catch a plane.
Yeah. Well, well, that's the point. Is there was enough time that we knew that this was the end of the world that the scientists gave us. So. Nobody wants to be in a car anyway.
Yeah, right, exactly. It's like being in a car on New Year's Eve at 12 o'clock.
Yeah.
It's not working.
No, it's not working.
Definitely not. It just felt nice that you guys had each other. That was very meaningful because it showed like when he was looking through people's windows, though, a lot of people were alone. You know, a guy was eating by himself, watching TV by himself. So it was just nice that you guys were able to be with each other at that moment. You know, it was very meaningful. The other thing that I thought was very powerful was when you caught him talking to his wife, his ex-wife, on the computer, and you totally freaked. And that was like, that must have been a very powerful scene when you were filming that.
It was. It was hard for me to stop in between cuts because it was. Luckily, Abel doesn't do that many takes because it was such an intense scene.
So, what is it like doing an intimate scene while your boyfriend is directing?
Okay, that was hilarious actually because that was the first day of shooting and
really, that was the first day you shot that scene?
Day.
Oh my god!
Right into the pool. No.
Did you know Willem before?
I did. Yeah.
Okay.
No, we're good friends, so that wasn't a problem. But it was just so funny because Abel directs over us acting, so it'd be like, "Go ahead, Willie, don't be afraid," you know, and he's going like really getting us like, "Go ahead, kiss her, pull her pants down."
Get that shit off, Will!
And I was at one point just like laughing hysterically because it was so, you know, like you're in the moment and it's totally real, and then you hear your boyfriend over. It's
yelling out, "Pull her pants down."
Pull her pants down, exactly. So it's pretty
hysterical.
wild. But it was funny.
Well, it totally worked.
Thank
Absolute
you.
full film.
Good.
And I wanted to ask you about your choices because you wavered between being really calm and accepting the fact that it was over to like freaking out. And I wanted to know like how you prepared yourself for something like how you would react to the end of the world. Like what was that experience like for you?
You know, in the basic setup, there's the convention that we've accepted it. And we have a scenario and we have scripted, a lot of it's very scripted, but there are islands of script. And we have to get from A to B. I have to connect the dots sometimes. And there, I sometimes emotionally had to make huge leaps. So it opened the door to a certain kind of reflection on the situation in an active way. So it was all playing the story, really. It was all about getting on the train. Choices don't happen, I think. I don't consciously make choices. They're sort of intuitive. It's really about applying yourself to the actions, and then you react to them. And then if that's a choice, I suppose it's a choice, but it's not a conscious choice.
It's not a conscious choice, yeah. I mean, it all worked. It was very powerful. Okay. Did you get this part because you're old friends with Abel? I mean, did he come to you with this in mind?
Yeah, he came to me and said, look, I want to do this thing. You know, told me the rough setup, and I said, absolutely. I mean, I've worked with him twice before, and I really like Abel. He's a very underrated filmmaker, and he's a real self-starter. If you look through his work, you know, we're not just talking the funeral. We're not just talking about Bad Lieutenant. He's made lots of things, and I think people owe him a lot. But he's never had that kind of a studio affiliation, or he hasn't gotten much help through the years. But he's a guy that makes a lot out of nothing, and I appreciate that. He's a real, he's very heroic. People focus sometimes on his wild character, but they're missing the point.
No.
Well, he also draws a lot of great talent. I mean, he gets so many good people. Obviously
Sometimes yes, sometimes
yourself
no.
and
Sometimes he
Christopher Walken.
Yeah,
He gets
Oh,
Harvey
absolutely.
Keitel. He's
Yeah.
worked with a lot of great names. Yeah.
because he's the real deal.
Mhm.